What's up, YouTube? Mr. Llama C here, and today I want to talk about some more changes I would like to see in Diablo 2 Resurrected. Now, this is a list of stuff that came up a couple weeks ago. I had already talked about, items and things like that, and I just didn't manage to get the final couple of pieces in. Also, if you're wondering about all of this, we did a charity stream, and this is what we ended up with. But let's jump right on into the meat of it. Today I'm going to talk about mercenaries and character changes. So this is going to kind of be some of the bigger shifts. Once again, you might disagree with me on some of these things. That's okay. This is my personal opinion of ways that we can change it. Now, something, of course, I want to note before I go into this is I don't like changing the game too much, right? And this is where I take a look at some of the mods that exist and I say, hey, there's a lot of mods that exist that are really great and they're great as mods, but I still wouldn't want to implement all of their changes into current D2R because it would really shift the game up so much that Diablo 2 wouldn't really be recognizable anymore, right? So instead, I think there's small changes, small things that we can do, small things we can balance to slightly shift the meta without completely changing how the game is played. So let's jump into Mercenaries. I think the first one is obvious, create more mercenary diversity. Right now, Act 2 Mercenary, and even just Act 2 Mercenary carrying Insight, Infinity, or Earthreaper's Toll is like your Mercenary. Every now and then there's a character that uses a Faith Mercenary in Act 1, and sometimes people will run like an Act 5 Mercenary, they'll put like a Oath or Lawbringer or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But that's so like tiny cases. 99% of your characters are just going to have the Act 2 Mercenary with one of those three weapons. So I think having more diversity there would be really nice. I don't, once again, have the exact solution. Some option things that I have are like, one, you can maybe add an Act 4 Mercenary. That could just bring in another kind. Maybe it's some like Angelic Mercenary or something. I don't know. There could be something with the idea of more auras brought in. I like the idea of maybe having Salvation or something like that on some other mercenaries. Just give you some more ways to kind of play the game, and if I pick up this, it's going to give this aura. If I pick up this, it's going to give this aura. And you kind of spread it around, and it's a little bit better, right? So once again, don't have the exact solution, but more diversity there would be really nice. I'd love to be able to use more characters with that stuff. And additionally, maybe even, if you do have something like, having more item slots for them, or not more item slots, but they can now they could use, let's say an Act 3 Mercenary could use a Paladin shield. Well, now that Mercenary can use Exile and, give you the Defiance boost or whatever, right? Just stuff like that to kind of give some more options to kind of bring more. I know they're not Paladins. I know you have to make it fit with the lore. I'm just saying something in general like that, right? More auras around. Number 2, with Mercenaries, don't delete all the gear off my old Mercenary when I hire a new one. Let it either A, tell me I can't delete it till I remove that gear, or make me confirm that I'm going to delete those items, or put it in my inventory if there's space, or give me a backup mercenary where I can hire an Act 2 mercenary or an Act 1 mercenary, and just whichever one I hire last is the one that I have. So then the items still stay on that mercenary and it's fine. I don't know. Just something like that, besides deleting the gear and then me going, oh no, I got rid of my Fortitude and Infinity, which I have done one time before. I accidentally deleted my mercenary with all the gear. That was awful. Number 3, allow me to give a target for my mercenary and maybe even summons to attack. This is something that I believe is in Path of Exile, where there was a spell you could cast that would give target to your minions, so they would kind of move and target a certain mob or something like that. And I thought that would be really nice. That's something that could kind of bring Diablo 2 a little bit further into the age. Yeah, make the attract curse, you know, something like that. It's attract, but for your mercenary and minions, all that. I mean, yeah, it would just be really nice to be able to very easily guide all of your stuff, including your mercenary, to a mob, right? And number 4, the last one, a dismiss mercenary option would be nice, especially if this would allow me to bring them back without gold cost. It would just be something that's very simple and easy, so I can be like, oh, I'm going to go duel. Let me dismiss my mercenary. Oh, I'm going to go do trav runs. Let me dismiss my mercenary. Though, honestly, they should probably just fix that fire from the Hydra damage so it's not so deadly. But, you know, whatever it is, let me unsummon the mercenary, go and give them back to the mercenary holder and say, hey, I'm done borrowing this for now. I'll come back for it later, you know? So I think those would be nice. Not crazy, but they would be helpful changes. And now let's get into the characters, because I know you guys are waiting on these, right? For every character, I have like 1 to 3 changes pretty much that I would like to see. Once again, I'm not trying to completely shift everything in the game, but these were just some of the ideas that I had come up with a few weeks ago. Number 1, I think buffing warmth at lower levels would be better. Giving it some sort of flat regen maybe would be really nice. So it has like flat plus %. So then early on, at least all that flat is really good. Because I really miss it. Like, warmth is so nice, and obviously at the end of the game it's amazing. But in the early game, there's no reason to grab warmth because your mana is just low and it's only %, and so it's like every 3-4 seconds you might get 1 mana back, and you're like, until I get a bunch of plus skills and it's late game, I have no reason to put a point in here. So I think that would be nice. Number 2. I think increasing Hydra damage would be really nice. Kind of like a trap sin, where you can go and you can set up your Hydras like traps and then just let them kind of fire off, right? So you're a Hydra trap sin sorceress, right? I think Hydra is such a cool spell. In Diablo 2 Resurrected, it looks so good. I love the Hydras. But they're just kind of worthless, right? They just like don't do enough, and it's not one of those like fire skills you can do. You can like run meteor, you can run fireball, you could run firewall before, though not really anymore. And Hydra is never really like on that list. So I'd like to bring Hydra back up, not the Trav's Hydras, just, you know. Bring our Hydras back up. I mean, you can increase the Trav Hydras, just don't make their damage to mercenaries so crazy. Number 3, I think Thunderstorm could be improved. I don't know how it needs to be improved, but it needs to be improved. Maybe it hits faster because it's very, very slow. It's like, poo, poo. You know, it's just like, the fight's over by the time the next one's going to hit. There could be an AoE when it hits, right? It has like a Nova based on your Nova damage or something. That could be cool. I don't know. There's some things. Once again, I'm not here to design everything. I'm just here to point out some of the problems because developers are the ones who kind of develop that stuff, right? They'll come up with better ways to make it. And then a quick little 3.5 or 4, whatever. I think Firewall should go back to being better. I don't know if it needs, obviously, whatever they fixed how it worked, and so it's back to kind of being old Firewall. But I think Firewall was still a nice skill there. I wouldn't mind them like increasing the damage a little bit again on that. Number 2 is the Druid. So, number 1 for the Druid, Vines need adjustment. Make them untargetable, make them tankier, make them do more. With the exception of Poison Vine on like the first 10 levels of the game, vines just end up becoming worthless. And so there's really just like no point to invest in them, and it's very sad. They just die immediately. So something about their tankiness would really help. Number 2, I would allow for the Summon Druid to summon Wolves and Bear at the same time. And you know, have just kind of more summons, right? When you're a summoner, you don't want to summon like 3 things and be like, all right, that's all my summons. You know, it's like you want to have more summons. You want to go more into it, all of that stuff. So I would like for them to increase the number of summons that you can have there, even if it's in some combination way, right? Where it's like I can have 2 Spirit Wolves, 2 Dire Wolves, and a Bear, or I can have 4 Dire Wolves and a Spirit Wolf, or, you know, whatever it is, right? Like you get 5 total summons and you can mix and match, whatever it is, you know, and there's definitely something. I think there'd be a cool way to do it all. But right now the Summoner is pretty weak for the Druid, and I think that could help it out without making it like OP by any means. And lastly is Armageddon is just one of the most pointless skills in the game. It needs to drop so much faster for it to be anything. Like, maybe there's some other way you change it as well. I don't know. But right now it's just like, wee, dink, wee, dink. I mean, it just like, it's so, oh, it's a miserable skill. So that is my Druid. Druid increases right there. Number 3, or sorry, the third character is the Barbarian. For the Barbarian, number 1, Whirlwind needs some help. Right now, it's only good at high levels with very good gear, but it's pretty terrible until that point. And that is a pretty big issue for the Barbarian, especially because it's one of the coolest skills. I would say something like level 1 minus 50% damage is pretty awful. I don't know if it needs to hit faster, if you just need to give it a much bigger damage and attack rate, like throw an attack rating boost on it as well, or I don't know, but something needs to be done to improve Whirlwind, because right now it's just it's literally one of my least favorite skills in the game if I am not like high leveled with a lot of stuff. I don't think it hits enough. I don't think it does enough damage, or like everything, right? It's literally not until you get all of the stuff and then Whirlwind becomes good, right? So that's number 1. Number 2, I think adding plus attack rating to Shout or Warcry or something, I think Shout makes sense, would be nice. It would kind of give you more reason to invest points into Shout, and is something that could kind of buff and help melee characters a little bit, because obviously attack rating and chance to hit is one of the main reasons that melee characters kind of really end up sucking a lot more compared to their caster friends, counterpart. So I think having a plus 2 attack rating there could be really nice. Nice little boost, and gives you some, you know, reason to put more points into Shout. And number 3, Weapon Masteries, adding some flat damage potentially. Something to help characters out in a bit until the end of the game. So again, when I look at the Barbarian and I'm really looking at it, I'm seeing, okay, melee characters really, and especially barbs, really struggle in those early stages of the games. And how do we like buff it up, you know, so that they're stronger? And that's one way that I think it could be, is getting something like a little bit more damage add on the masteries or whatever it is, increasing weapon damages, something like that, so that you can just, you know, do more damage, hit a little bit better, and not be so weak early on. The next character is the Assassin. Number 1, change the Blade Fury startup time so it doesn't take a whole second every time that you want to fire. Like, Blade Fury is an amazing skill. I want to make a Blade Sin so bad. I mean, I've made multiple, but I'd have a Blade Sin so badly. But the issue is every single time you go to attack or you get put into hit recovery or anything it is, she has to go, right? Like, and you can't speed it up. The time is this long time, and then she shoots at that same speed, and it's just so slow, and it just kills Blade Fury completely. I think that would be a big improvement. Number 2, improve the martial arts tree. Very weak overall. Many skills never used. I don't know. I don't know what to do with martial arts there, but it's bad. Amazon time. Number 1, fix Fend so it isn't broken. That's it. That's just number 1. Number 2, fix dodge, avoid, and evade so you don't get locked up, especially with weapon swap glitch being removed. This is just insanely detrimental. It's just, you can just get so easily locked in the dodge. I don't know if evade actually does it. Dodge and avoid, whatever. It's just like, you just get so locked up, and it's just terrible. Yeah, the length of the dodge, the length of all of those are really rough. Okay, next character. Necromancer. Also, I think for the Amazon, you could do something with physical bows early on. I think there's something you could do with like multi-shot and guided arrow and strafe. I mean, strafe's not bad. But like something so that you can run like a physical bow-on a little bit earlier could be nice. Again, I think more damage is really just the main thing that's needed. So maybe you put plus damage on some of those skills or something. Okay, Necromancer. Number 1, create a way to spawn corpses or allow summons to move between games. Something to help out summoners in this way. Also fix the summon disappearing bug, which I think they did fix. Because losing expensive iron golems is not fun. I think that actually got fixed. Number 2, adjust teeth. Potentially give it some shotgunning abilities, maybe some piercing. Maybe at level 10 or 20, you get an additional row of teeth that shoots out. I don't know, but it's kind of weak. Besides the first few levels. And I'd like to see them buff it up a little bit. I think teeth is a really cool spell, and I don't know. I'd like to see like you able to use it a little bit longer. Number 3, make leveling up curses more interesting instead of every single curse just being a 1-point wonder. I think that's pretty straightforward. And lastly, Paladin. Number 1, adjust smite in some capacity. It doesn't get crushing blow. There's a lower percent of crushing blow, like ranged. I don't know. That's all I can think. The Paladin is like gorgeous in so many ways and like too good in so many ways almost. But I really just go to Ubering and even a little bit of dueling with it, and it's like it's just so good because it always hits and it stuns and it can do crushing blow, and it's like it can do everything. It's just so good. Yeah, I guess number 2 for Paladin would be something like improving Fist of the Heavens mechanics, because it just feels really bad. Like if you're trying to Fist of Heavens, but then there's an item you click on and things like that, it just like it's so mechanically broken. That would be really nice. So, I don't know. Paladin's a tough one. But, yeah, that's it. So, like I say, I don't think many of those changes are ridiculous. I think a lot of them are pretty simple, are pretty chill overall. And it just kind of fix a couple of the small things, maybe change a couple of the small things, shift the meta a little bit. And then I think, overall there needs to be a look at how to help physical damage characters earlier in the game. Whether this is dealing with the attack rating, level, the chance to hit calculator, whether this is, maybe just removing the level part from that completely and it's just attack rating versus defense. Maybe. Whether it is, there's just multiple things that could be changed with it, adding more damage to the weapons, to the skills that use it. I don't know. But there's just some things. Oh, yeah, also Skelly Mages completely suck. Maybe you do a little bit with that for Necro. But that is it. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on my thoughts there and your own as well. What you think should be changed, should it be changed, any of those things. Once again, I ask that you be respectful of myself and other people in the chat when you're discussing these things. I know people feel strongly about certain things, but you can be respectful while getting your point across. So anyways, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace, YouTube.